This is Mark Maloney at Speak to Emotion, and this is the week where we really take on the charts, the graphs, and the dreaded slide you meant. I created this one myself, I am ashamed to say, but I did it as an exercise. This is a chart called a cone chart. It's a type of bar chart which is stacked cone. Wow. And take a look. Can you make sense of that? 20 categories? All of that? No. Our point in expressing this information is to take big numbers, complex issues, and to reduce them to smallest numbers possible. We don't want our audience confused and wondering what to do. We want to do the mental work for them so they can grasp it very easily. I'm just going to go through quickly charts. Let me do a new slide first. And we're just going to do some blank slides. Doing a table, there's two ways to do it. One is to just hit that table button and you can drag. There's a 4x4 table and you can just click it and you've got a 4x4 table. It's not that big, so I don't think it's an issue if you keep it to 4x4. The problem is if you get much bigger than that, right? I don't have a problem with 4x4, but what do people do? You know what they do because you have seen it. You have people do this, right? 10x8. Who can read 80 little bits of information? I can't. I can't make sense of all that. So just forget it. The other way to make a chart is to click on something that fits. Again, I like to make it as simple as possible. You can go crazy with these rows. Again, where do you want to go? 20 rows? Do you want to go 99 rows? Is that what you want? 399 rows, good God. But that of course turns into a total nightmare. Who wants to fill in all these little dots? Come on. You're not helping anyone. If you're going to do a chart, keep it simple. Try to keep it in the 3x3, 4x4. Next, we have our wonderful charts. And let's just cover these real quickly. We have the 2D column, which is one of my favorite. I also like the 2D bar. The stacked column, I'm telling you, you can confuse people. I'll show some examples of these. You start getting 3D stacked, boy, it gets confusing. And then like these stacked cones, wow, too much information. You don't want to impress everybody with how smart you are and how technical you are. You want to convey your information. Here's a little chart I created that's a column chart. I just kept it to 4 countries and 3 variables and gave it a title. So even though this is 3D, it's not too much. Let's take a look at too much. Okay, there's too much. There's a stacked bar chart, and look at all these countries. What are there, 25? Can you read this font? Can your audience read this font? I'd be willing to bet no. Here's a line chart. I'm a little confused. Negative numbers, positive numbers. This is up, this is down. Wow, I'm confused. Here's another line chart that I like better. This is, again, not one of my charts, like the last one. Let me see. The last chart was, I think the Centers, World Health Organization does these, most of these that I got. Percentage of Americans that believe in something. You see, this is real clear. This line's going steadily down, and this line is mirroring it, kind of going up. And now, look at what we've done. We've reached a point of crossover here. We've actually reached some sort of tipping point at this spot here. And that's something you can dramatize. So let's take a quick look at how to get rid of that slide you meant. And I want you to get the concept first, and then I'll play with the charts. Okay, gross national income. Again, this is World Health or CDC. One of these big groups did this. 30 countries. Come on, people. I can't. That's too much. I don't digest that. I can't read the font. Here's a better solution. Look at this, 2D bar chart. Take it down to 6 countries, and then put your audience's country in a different color. Now the brain handles 4 to 7 pieces of information at one time. So here, keep it down to 6. ESPAD is just to attribute this. They did a very good job of making this understandable. Here's a pie chart. Wow, too much. So we're taking on world hunger here, and you know what you're doing? You're confusing me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 confusing things. World Health Organization. I don't like that. It's too much. Your audience will not get much from it. Now here's another slide. I want you to examine this because it's an improvement. A little repetition here. 30 million people die every year, die of hunger. A little diagonal red design. But here's my question. 30 million people. I've got a little problem with 30 million people. Can you picture 30 million people in your head very easily? Can your audience? How many people is 30 million people? Well, if you take a stadium with 100,000 people that's filled for football fans, you need 10 stadiums like that to make 1 million, and then 30 more times that 10 to make 30 million. It's too big of a number. I can't grab it, and I don't think your audience can either. Your job is to simplify the data. Take a look at the next slide. Every 3 seconds, a person dies of hunger. Can you picture 3.6? I can. I can count 3.6 seconds. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1000. Okay, 3.6 seconds. 75% are children. 75%, 3/4. Can I picture 3 out of 4 children? Yes. Very easy to picture. Very effective slide done by this group. Now, one last slide I just want to get into before I play around. Okay, the stock market. High, low, close. Just try to keep it minimal. See if you can keep it to quarterly. Because again, if you start going with every month and you start putting too much numbers, you'll confuse them. Try to make this as easily seeable as possible. All right, so very quickly, and I want to go over one last thing as we wrap up charts, is one of my favorite parts, which is smart art. And I'll click on some of these. Smart art is great because it shows relationships. It looks a lot like some of the brainstorming we did at the very beginning, right? Where you're taking something and this is all made up that relates to it. Again, look at the relationships. So this is story. So we have large fonts, we have 4 words, and we see the relationship. And that's the whole point. Don't just throw a ton of data at people. It's terrible. It confuses them. Give them a relationship between concepts. This is another one where it's a flowing left to right. And I'll show you how to get to these. Let me quickly go over charts. We did the line charts. Again, I don't like to go more than 2 or 3 variables tops. You don't need to go 3D. Columns, we went over. Pie charts. Pie chart's okay. I don't like the pie in a pie and then a bar of a pie. You're just acting like a jerk now. Again, the bars, they're the same as the column. I like to keep them 2D, and I don't like them stacked. Area chart, I would just be careful to keep this simple. Keep it down to 2 variables. Scatter. Why would you want to scatter your information? Are you trying to get your audience to scatter out of the room? The idea is to simplify the information and give it a relationship. I would avoid scatter as much as possible. Other stuff, well, we went over the stocks. I'm not a big fan of these 3D twisted surfaces. Again, they make you look intelligent. Do they do anything for your audience? It's about your audience, not just about you. Donuts, not only do I love the taste of donuts, but hey, they're very clear and understandable. Bubbles and radar, you're getting too fancy for your own good. Smart art, this is what I was getting into. The relationship ones are my favorites, and we did these sort of a mind map or something like this. This plus that equals the other. You're showing a very clear, as this goes down, that goes up. These diverge, these converge. It gives a relationship for the data. Some of the other ones, the cycle can be pretty good because, hey, this turns this way. This is where it goes up here. I'm just going to do it over that one. And let me undo. And let's go back. New slide, blank. And here we're going to go to our smart art and process here. We're going to show where things go, right? Basic chevron process. This leads to this, leads to that. Hierarchy, be careful. I guess you got to put your boss at the top. That makes him feel important. It looks like a little too much information. If you're doing genealogy of the royal family, go for it. I'm not a big fan. Cycle. Again, I just think I like this one because it just tells you where everything is going, where it came from and where it's going. It's all about changing your data into manageable bits and pieces. Now, the last week we'll do the transitions, animations, slideshow, and review. It has been a pleasure. Don't forget to practice and have fun riding your bike.